party's over.
I don't think so.
Take a seat. We would be honored if you would join us.
The party is far from over. We got a lot to talk about. We thought, be low-key about everything. We're just going to show up and just talk about whatever we feel like. And of course, between last week and this week, we get Skeleton Crew. But okay, fine, great. We'll devote an entire episode to Skeleton Crew. What could be more important than that? And then they just drop a whole trilogy, apparently. I don't know. We're going to have to talk about this. If you're joining us for the first time, which you might be because there's a lot going on, welcome to Star Wars After Party. I'm Tyler Bodkins. I've been in this fight since I was 8 years old. With me, he's the special edition in the flesh. It's Cameron Porter.
And he doesn't have to make out with his microphone anymore.
Yes, and for those who may not understand, Cameron's got a new mic. We got some new gear here in the Star Wars After Party studio. So we'll be making some upgrades between now and Skeleton Crew. There will be some new cameras, some new lights, some new all that stuff. So it's all coming. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening, the improvements are here. We've got some nerdy stuff, some FET heads and some SM7s and all, just nerdy stuff like that. Don't worry about it. Dude, we got a whole trilogy. That's why I got the trilogy up here, the Holy Trilogy, but we've got something else happening here, and I don't know. I'm not excited, but it does feel a little bit like a bit of whiplash. Mm-hmm. So I guess let's just jump into that, and we'll get to Skeleton Crew here in a little bit because we're certainly excited for that. But this feels like some big news, and since it's news, I'll go ahead. I'll be professional here. I'm gonna open up my computer and pull up the news. Like I feel like I'm on. I don't know. I don't actually watch the news. Do they do this? Have you seen the news? Have you ever watched the news?
I don't ever watch the news. I don't have cable.
Sorry, dude. We're me and Cameron are a bit out of touch.
In the meantime, though, I will say...
Tell me.
I did read... I got caught up on Insurgency Rising today.
What issue did you read up to? Because
Number 2.
Bro, the 4th one's already out.
All right, well, caught up according to my current collection at the house.
I like that. No, I did just pick up the 4th issue, and it came out, I think literally, well, I guess it came out yesterday. I'm a little behind this week because I've been a bit busy, and I'm excited to read it because the 3rd issue is wild. I enjoyed the first couple. Yeah. And we can kind of give a little bit of thoughts. I don't want to spoil the 3rd issue. I talked about it a little bit on the one of the bonus commentary episodes that we have over on our Patreon. You can check that out at patreon.com/StarWarsAfterParty if you want to support the show. Get on the Discord, chat with us, or get any of this bonus content. You're welcome to come check it out. But I mentioned that issue 3 has a pretty big thing that happens. And I think that in issue 4, which again I haven't read yet, but it seems like that's coming to fruition, it involves Luke Skywalker and an interesting new foe.
Ooh.
And it's kind of one of those things, Cameron, where it's like you take this thing from the prequel era, you take this thing from the original trilogy era, you put them in a new time, and you put them together. Ooh. That's all I'm gonna say.
Wait, is it a foe we know?
Not exactly, but maybe kinda. It's just it's up in the air, man. It's if I say too much, I'll give it away, and I want you to enjoy it. I don't want to ruin it for anybody who might be catching up. Let's talk about this new trilogy news real fast. Yeah. So, Deadline is reporting. I guess I'm gonna have to wait 11 seconds. I will be redirected back to my article because I have to look at this United for Business. What? Just get out of here.
I do have a bone to pick with this article.
Okay, well, should I read first? No.
It's a grammatical bone to pick.
Then I don't care. Star Wars trilogy deal. Lucasfilm taps Simon Kinberg to write and produce. All right, so here's what's out. Here's the news. Lucasfilm has closed a deal with Simon Kinberg to develop a trilogy of Star Wars films. Kinberg will write the trio and produce them with Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy. I heard this will comprise episodes 10 through 12 of the Skywalker saga that began with George Lucas's 1977 first film, which, along with Steven Spielberg's Jaws, reshaped the global blockbuster game. Insiders disputed my intel that Kinberg will continue that storyline, saying this instead will begin a new saga and sit alongside percolating Star Wars projects with James Mangold, Charmin Obaid-Chinoy, Taika Waititi, and Donald Glover. As usual, Lucasfilm and Disney are not commenting. So he's saying what I heard was it's going to be episodes 10 through 12. But he's also saying insiders disputed that and said that this will be a new thing. We don't know. Kinberg, he wrote a ton of X-Men films, First Class, Days of Future Past, Last Stand. He wrote Logan, I guess, apparently, which is solid. He also worked as a producer, and I think he wrote the first Deadpool movie. The guy has been around. He's doing cool stuff. So I'm down. I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah, this whole thing kind of came out of left field.
Talk to me about it.
I mean, as far as I was concerned, we had a Rey movie on the back burner that's, in shambles right now, seemingly. But to just come out, to just drop some news like, oh, a new trilogy is coming out is that's a big one.
And to be fair, it's a leak. I mean, it's not they didn't announce it.
And this person's claiming that insiders are denying that it. Well, no, they didn't deny that it was existing. They were denying that it was a Skywalker saga.
Yeah, it sounds like to me that the author of this let me get their name here. I've already kind of gone back a little bit. Mike Fleming Jr. is saying that I heard that this was going to be episodes 10 through 12, but insiders then told me no, it's actually a different trilogy. Here's the thing. What I don't understand, I won't say I don't understand. When I first heard the news, I'm thinking, this makes sense. They were doing a Rey movie. It feels like it would make sense that that's episode 10.
Yeah.
They lost Stephen Knight. We talked about it, I think, in our last episode. Who was, known for Peaky Blinders, that he was going to write this new Rey film. It didn't work out. That's apparently on hold. It would make sense that if they tapped someone to write a trilogy, you would think, oh, so the new Rey thing.
Yeah.
No, apparently not. And so not only is there a Rey film that no longer has a writer, there's also Mandalorian Grogu, which reportedly wrapped filming. I don't know. Just what I've heard. Then there's the Dawn of the Jedi James Mangold thing. So it's okay, that's cool. Another Logan alum, I'm pretty sure. That seems to be moving along, but also just the furthest off, perhaps. And there's the Dave Filoni culmination of the Mandoverse movie. Okay. Then Donald Glover is doing the Lando movie, okay, and now there's a whole nother trilogy?
It sounds to me like they're doing the opposite of what Bob Iger came in to do.
Well, it seems like they're pivoting from Disney Plus to go back to theaters.
Theaters,
all right, well, let's just talk about it like this. And Cameron and I, look, we're just Star Wars fans. We don't have industry insiders. We don't know the industry. We're not, it's none of that.
If you are one, you can reach out to us at starwarsafterparty@gmail.com.
To be fair, let's get that out there.
Yeah.
But it seems like what they're doing with COVID came and they were like, great. They didn't say great that COVID came. What I mean is they're like, well, we are poised for this streaming thing. Streaming wars. Let's win the streaming wars.
Yep.
Let's pump out streaming content. Boom, 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 boom. They did it with Marvel. They did it with Star Wars. Then it seems like they began to see diminishing returns. And at that time, if you remember, everyone's like, The theaters are gone.
Yeah.
They're dying.
Gone for good. Yeah.
But now they're making money again. So they're like, actually, let's go back to theaters. And it just so happens that this streaming thing is costing a fortune. It's not making as much money as we thought. So let's go from 1, 2, 3 Star Wars projects a year on Disney Plus down to 1. And let's go back to movies in the theater every year. And I mean, I guess this could be that. I even heard someone at some point, I don't have the article pulled up, they were saying they were trying to go back to 2 Star Wars movies a year.
Wow.
So I just don't know. It's tough to take any of it all that serious because this is like, Disney has put out 5 Star Wars movies, and we're not going to get into the quality. We're not opening all that up. They put out 5 Star Wars movies, and since those 5 movies, they have announced or they have talked about or it's leaked another dozen plus more, yet only one of them has actually made it to being filmed.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good point that you made right there.
I made a good what was that?
You just put it into context. Like, since Disney started doing Star Wars movies, only 5 have actually come out.
Yeah.
They've got tons of like Disney Plus content and stuff, but like only 5 movies in the past. How many?
So there were 5 movies in 4 years, and in the last 5 years there's been 0.
0, yeah.
So they did 5 and 4, and then they've done none.
So it just seems, I don't know. I take it all with a grain of salt because it seems way too ambitious to go from a 5-year drought to be like, hey everybody, we got 7 or 8 movies coming to you now.
It seems wild.
Yeah, so I think it's all speculation, other than obviously the ones that have kind of materialized, at least somewhat.
Well, I mean, Mando and Grogu is for sure happening.
Yeah.
I still... Okay, let me say it like this. Until I heard this news, I was like, the Rey film is... I said it last week. The Rey film is totally going to happen. There's no way they don't use Daisy Ridley now, while she's... Like, if there was ever a mistake that George Lucas made, which I'm not so sure he's ever made one.
I don't think so either.
I think he just allows the force to flow through him. But
selling Lucasfilm, that was his only...
Well, that's a conversation for another pod.
Yeah.
But I like... Maybe that's a good... We'll have that discussion one day. It's not having Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, and Harrison Ford come back sooner, I feel like. I would have loved to have seen a 40, 45-year-old them doing... But we got the prequels instead, and I'm not mad about that.
No.
I'm just saying, like, it would have been nice to see them do their thing in their prime. I think Disney knows that, too, and I think that, of course, they're going to use Daisy, and I would hope John Boyega, I want to call him Poe Dameron, but Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
You would hope they would bring them back.
Yeah.
I would have thought for sure that movie's totally happening. I hear this news, I go, that movie is definitely not happening, and they're going to absolutely bring it in and do a 10, 11, 12, and maybe Sinead is still going to be doing her directing the first one, perhaps, I don't know, but now it's like, oh no, actually it's not 10, 11, 12. It's just so confusing. I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think.
I will say this.
Please. And then we do have some things we can talk about with this news, because there's one piece of information that's solid that I really like, but please, what were you going to say?
I'll just give my personal take on the 10, 11, 12 thing, unless you wanted to
No, please.
get into that in a different way.
No. Let's go there.
I will be sorely disappointed
Okay.
if they go 10, 11, 12 with this new trilogy. It sounds
Really?
like it would make way more sense for them to just do a new offshoot of the trilogy and just kind of continue to not distance themselves from the sequel trilogy, but like leave it where it was. And my biggest gripe with this is that I don't think they would put their money on 3 more movies focused around not Rey, but Rey being a Skywalker.
I see what you're saying.
Because she's not, technically. I mean, she trained under Luke, yes, but I see it. see it not landing very well with to go from Anakin Skywalker to Luke Skywalker and then say Rey Skywalker for the next 3.
So let's do. I see this branching off in a couple different ways. So there's a few things we're going to talk about. Let's talk about what if it is 10, 11, 12. Let's just stay here for a sec.
Okay.
What if it is 10, 11, 12? If it's 10, 11, 12, first off, it really negates what happened with 9 in what I mean is almost like the real world sense.
Right.
Lucasfilm decided after the backlash of Jedi, but really the performance of Solo, that they're like, let me tell you guys. Here's how it is. $100. Okay, maybe let me back this up for a sec. A solid shout out on the next episode of Star Wars After Party to anyone who can find me before May of 2018, which was the release of Solo. Before May of 2018, show me an article of Kathleen Kennedy or anyone at Lucasfilm speaking of Episode 9 as the conclusion of the Skywalker saga. It didn't happen. It didn't exist. It's not something that was being talked about. Solo comes out, and then all of a sudden, it's like, this is the last one. We're done. This is it. And I didn't like it when it happened. Meaning, I didn't like that it felt so reactionary to what was happening in fandom.
Yeah.
I really wish that they would have just stuck with their guns and just been like, we're telling the story that we want to tell. And I'd prefer that over how can we salvage this thing. I wish they did not do that. I'd almost rather they doubled down and made something, whatever. Point being, they really did a lot to quote unquote tie up the Skywalker saga. In a way that I think made Episode 9 worse. Yeah. In my opinion.
Agree. Yeah, I agree with you there.
I think if they would have just finished out the trilogy and not worried about that other stuff, it would have been better. So to come back and reopen that, it's like, okay, I mean, maybe, I'm ever the optimist. Perhaps in hindsight, with the added context of what comes next, maybe it's maybe 9 is now better. It's possible. I'm not saying that it's impossible. Yeah. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it just seems in bad taste to try and like it's like when you make a point and it doesn't go very well, and then you dig yourself in a little bit deeper to try and like really like make yourself understood by those around you. And then you kind of hit a point where you're like, okay, they're not getting it. Like, maybe I should move on. And you just keep digging and keep digging. And that's what I kind of feel like this would be. It's almost like, I mean, my grandpa's always told me, what's the fastest way? What's the fastest way to get out of a hole? Stop digging. So like that's what it feels like. It feels like
that's that good grandpa advice.
Yeah, dude, I got plenty of those. We could have a whole podcast on that one.
All right,
but,
we'll do it.
I feel like 10, 11, and 12, regardless of where they think they could take it. I'm not even saying that it would be bad. I'm just saying, like, because of association, because of where we've gotten to now in Star Wars, it's like, don't go poking that bear again, unless, and I don't think they would ever do this, but unless they came out with a sequel trilogy and they were like, you know what, we've got our wheels beneath us now. Scrap 7, 8, and 9. Here's a new 7, 8, 9. Well, and I'm not saying that's what I want.
I know.
I'm not saying that I want that either. I'm just saying, like, the only way to really like salvage 3 new movies in the Skywalker saga, I feel like, and I say salvage loosely. I'm not talking about like a big redemption. I'm just saying, like, to go back down that rabbit hole again. It's like you should just leave it where it is. It
feels like it would be. And I'll say this, regardless of whether they do 10, 11, 12, and maybe we can pivot, because we can sit here and say, oh, well, maybe we can come up with ideas for what would happen in 10, but I don't know if it would be any different than whatever's going to happen in this Rey film. Yeah. But whether they do 10, 11, 12, or whether it's something entirely different, and let's kind of pivot towards that, it feels extremely ballsy in what's the word I'm looking for? The climate of just Star Wars today.
Okay.
As much as I love a lot of it, it just feels so ballsy to say we're doing a trilogy.
Yeah.
It feels so
almost
ballsy.
like a salt in the wound type thing.
No, it's just like, what's going to happen if you do your Star Wars trilogy and the first movie makes $400 million? You're going to keep going?
Yeah.
Probably not. It just feels like you would have to be so confident to do 10, 11, 12. I just don't think you can do it. It feels like it has to be something different.
Yeah.
It feels like it has to be. And it's not because I'm saying I'm not saying that I don't want 10, 11, 12 at some point. I'm just saying I can't see this being that.
No.
I don't think it is. Now, let's say it is a trilogy. Let's talk about where would you like it set? You're always talking about a fresh place in the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about that. Where does Cameron Porter want this trilogy to be?
3 movies leading right up to Phantom Menace.
Yo, really?
Yep. Either right there or in between 6 and 9.
Wait.
6 and 7.
Okay. So let's talk about that. Because this is good. Let's go with the first option. And I'm just going to let you do this because I'll take mine a different way. First option, before Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this could be interesting because this could pick up after the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Plagueis.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could see Chimera again. Maybe we could see that. Because, I mean, I understand a lot of you listening, just due to the nature that apparently a lot of people don't like the Acolyte. Look, I get it. I happen to like it. I could see some of those plot lines weaving into what you're describing. Even if it's just Plagueis taking on Palpatine and there being some mention of this other Force user who ends up being Chimera, and perhaps that's...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it could be very interesting. If you go even closer to Episode 1, Yoda, cool. Dooku, cool.
Yep.
I don't know how they would do a lot of this, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for is like young Palpatine, younger Yoda, whatever happened before the Republic got to the point where it was in Phantom Menace. So I'm talking like leading right up to Phantom Menace.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
So a bit closer towards that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, your other idea, you mentioned we could set it between 6 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I don't hate that idea. It seems like they're doing that.
There's plenty,
they're already doing that. Mando and Grogu is there. So it would be interesting because I feel like they've carved out this big chunk that is the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
And, Filoni's apparently got his film. Favreau's got his with Mando Grogu. It feels like putting another trilogy in there would replace or step on that. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm thinking more so, because I agree. I'm thinking this one would need to line up real close to Episode 7. So let's say 6 concludes and Mandoverse is closer to 6.
Yeah.
We'd pick up 3 more movies closer to 7.
Now, what you're saying...
Like a prequel to the sequel trilogy.
What you're saying feels more like young Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
And, while Luke Hamill is obviously not able to play a, 25, 30-year-old Luke...
Luke Hamill?
Thank you. Mark Hamill.
Maybe if he's got a son named Luke, maybe he could do it.
To me, he's always Luke. Anyways, but could he play a 50? Like, could they de-age him 20 years? That feels conceivable.
Yeah.
Could we get Mark Hamill playing like Jedi Master Luke? Could that be what this is?
Yeah.
And it is, like you said, the Mandoverse stuff is still like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. There's like 30 years between 6 and 7, I think.
Yeah.
So-
Okay. So I'm thinking about this now back in the context of the Skywalker trilogy. If we get 3 movies, I mean, they wouldn't do this, I don't think, but we see Luke as right at the end of his hero's journey, on his ascension, and then we pick back up with him like totally deconstructed, like burnt out and satirical. So we really have always been lacking in this era, other than in the comics, of seeing Luke in his prime as Jedi Master Luke.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll accept 3 Skywalker saga movies if they're set right before 7, and it really does focus on Luke's adventures or him at his prime or establishing his new Jedi Order and then tying it in with young Kylo.
Could be that. I mean, you got to imagine we're going to get Luke in the Mandoverse stuff. Like, you got to imagine if Filoni's movie ends up being like a Heir to the Empire type film, which it seems like it's not going to be note for note, obviously, but it seems like Thrawn is being set up to be the big bad of the Mandoverse stuff.
Yeah.
You got to imagine they bring Luke into that. So I do think we're going to get that. I don't know how it's going to work. All I know is, like we've discussed on previous podcasts, look at Luke Skywalker in Mando Season 2. Look at Luke Skywalker in Book of Boba Fett 1 year later. Look at how good it's gotten. Think about what AI is doing now. Mm-hmm. Consider that it's been 4 years after that, and it's going to be another few years before. I mean, who knows what they're going to be able to do?
Yeah. I don't care. I mean,
I don't know.
I don't care. CGI am in completely. Like, don't even have Mark Hamill stand in. I really don't care.
Cameron
like,
don't care.
Well, I'm just saying we're at a point now where it's like, okay, do you want to see more of Luke or do you not? Because if you do, the reality is that Mark Hamill is the age that he is.
Yeah.
And whether he's standing in or not, you're going to need to do a lot of work. So just like have him do the voice and have another actor stand in and do it CGI or whatever. Like,
yeah, and use the voice replacer stuff to I'm sure they're going to be able to figure it all out.
I would align myself as a pretty strong purist with like the trilogy and the prequels, and like I've always been kind of wary of the newer era of Star Wars, albeit I've loved it.
Yeah.
But I'm always kind of like, I don't know if they executed that well. Or, I kind of look with a more like keen eye on some things. Mm-hmm. But I would be willing to accept 3 more episodes of getting Luke, just going into it knowing like I'm kind of forfeiting my right to really complain about a CGI Luke because I'm getting more Luke right now.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see what we get. Of course, the trilogy could go back to the Old Republic. It could go anywhere. It could go, decades, centuries into the future. Who knows? I mean, who knows? Let me talk about the one thing that I really love about this news. There's one thing that I love about this news. It's the fact that Simon Kinberg would write and produce all 3 movies.
Yeah.
In other words, one creative,
yes,
who has a vision and sees it through the whole way.
Absolutely.
Almost like George Lucas did with his trilogies.
Yeah.
It only makes sense. So, I mean, like, no matter what, that's great. Like, I love that. I love the idea that we could get that. Now, it really, to me, matters a little less as to when and where, as much as I like the idea of there being a cohesive vision from a single creator. To me, that's the good news of all of this.
Yeah, that was going to be my next point as well. It's like, if you're going to do a sequel, if you're going to do it, so used to saying that, if you're going to do a trilogy, it's got to be the same person, and you got to have it all laid out beforehand. It can't be this whole like, all right, we're going to make a new trilogy, and then one movie comes out, and they're like, great, that was good.
What are we going to do next?
What do we do with the second one?
Yeah.
You got to have somebody that's locked in for all 3 of them.
Yeah, and it's not that because George's, I mean, the details changed in George's a ton. Mm-hmm. It's not that, I know at least when I make stuff, you want to be open to the creative process. You don't want to go in there and be like, it has to be like this, even though you're not going to be doing it for 5 years.
Right.
But you like to have a plan, knowing that something might shift. Because if you've got a plan, if you've got the vision for this, and this, if something changes on 2 or 3, that change must be really good.
Yeah.
If you're going to be willing to do it. So I'm thinking it's only good news that one guy is going to develop the whole trilogy. Now, here's what I'll say. I'm still waiting on the Rian Johnson trilogy. So this isn't the first time that they've tapped someone to write and produce a trilogy of films for Star Wars. You know, I don't know. For me, it's getting... It's so funny because I feel like I'm Mr. Optimism, eternally excited for everything Star Wars. It's getting tough for even me to be like, yeah. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
we'll see about
you
this.
Can get a
I'm not jaded, guys. Don't have fear. You must not let fear take such fertile ground. I'm still excited and I'm still optimistic and hopeful, but it's tough to sit here and talk on this mic and be like, yeah, guys, we're getting this trailer. Who knows?
Yeah.
Come on. I'm not going to pretend like I know.
Always in motion.
Always in motion the future is. And one thing I do know that we're going to get, we're getting Skeleton Crew.
Yep.
Cameron, we got a new trailer. Mm-hmm. And we're going to vary, you know, maybe one day this production value will hit the level where we put this thing up for all y'all. But we ain't doing that right now. It's just not happening. I'm sorry. Let's pull up this Skeleton Crew trailer and let's give it a quick watch. Maybe we'll pause here and there and love that synth. That's awesome. You know, maybe we'll pause it and we'll talk, but let's watch through the whole thing. I'll kind of, you know, discuss what we're seeing so that it's not completely boring content. Cameron, is this good for you, bud?
Yeah, that's great.
All right. Microphone probably pick up a little bit of this. All right. Let's watch the Skeleton Crew trailer, and then we're going to just discuss our thoughts on it. Here we go. 80 synth.
What are you in for?
Couple kids. I like the way that they showed this, by the way.
Yeah.
I found something buried in the woods.
Nice little framing device.
Dad,
That too. Great cut.
Mm-hmm.
See that New Republic droid in the back?
Yep.
We saw those in Mando.
what do you think it is?
Some kids playing around in the dirt. Reminds me of my childhood. I like it.
Don't touch anything.
Cameron, don't touch anything, bro. Spoiler alert, they started touching stuff and now they're,
Jumping into hyperspace.
I'm lost.
I love the little Max Rebo thing.
Yeah.
Stay together. We just need some directions home.
So we're on some kind of... That looks good.
Find an old Republic credit.
Old Republic credits, let's remember that.
Over here, quick.
Jude Law heard that.
We'll make a partnership. But we have to move fast.
Oh, dude.
I need you to take
We're going to talk about that.
Okay. Neil? Neil?
I like it. December 3rd.
crew of murderous pirates.
Stephen Urkel.
I love the
I like
K2
that droid.
Yeah.
To just turn up. We need to find them.
That shot was very Iron Man, by the way. Whoa! This creature looks cool.
You warned. Every booby traps. Pirates.
Because they were kids, they survived. I love that.
If you hear this, don't give up. No matter what.
All right, we're gonna find some treasure. 2 episodes premiere.
Yep.
All right. I mean, looks pretty cool to me, Cameron.
It doesn't look like your typical Star Wars project, that's for sure. Which I think they're doing a really good job of establishing that in the trailers and how they're like marketing this as more of a like real fun kid. It doesn't look childish, but it's obviously like following a group of kids.
Yeah, it's very kid-centric.
Super, as we've talked about and as everybody's talked about, very Stranger Things vibes between the music, the sets, how everybody looks, even down to like the font they picked for the for the title screens and stuff.
It's definitely got the it's also what Stranger Things was throwing back to, that 80s Steven Spielberg Amblin film type thing.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like the Goonies but in Star Wars. And I mean, personally, I'm not mad at it.
No.
Not at all.
Do you remember that movie Treasure Planet?
Vaguely.
That, early
vaguely
animated movie. It reminded me a lot of that. And it might just be because I think there's a scene in that movie where they do discover this giant cave full of gold or something, and all the gold like text in the trailer, like I don't know, the music and some of the scenes and stuff really just like conjured up
for
thoughts
sure
of that movie for me.
And I think that we discussed this a while back, like I would say pretty early to the show being announced. I'm stretching out here a little bit.
Get comfortable.
Just making myself at home. I mean,
you are
my house.
That's his-
I had stated before that it seemed like it was going to be this fun, adventurous, let's all get together around the TV or on the holidays as a family and just have a nice, good time.
Yeah.
It certainly feels like that's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not mad at it. I actually quite like it. I really like that we're going to be getting that. It feels like everywhere I turn, especially to my right over here, everyone's just looking for some fun. And I mean, I'm talking about you, Cameron, Mr. Fun over here. I don't think I need to go into a lot of the details of what's going on in the world right now. Mm-hmm. If you want to be upset and mad about stuff, you can find it right now. And it almost seems very very smart of Disney to say, you know what, we're gonna let this whole let's just call it what it is. Let this whole U.S. election thing happen, and then a month later we'll drop in this feel good stuff, and everyone's gonna love it. I can see it.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like that's kind of what's happening. It's what happened with Mando season 2. It was kind of a similar sort of thing where elections happen, and a couple months later we're watching Star Wars. I don't know. It just seems like the way that they like to do things. Overall, I'm really excited. I'm looking at this shot here. We're 24 seconds in. We got this little Max Rebo kid.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's got, I don't know what this is on the corner there, but it looks kind of like a cassette player. Like he's got that, it's got that sort of vibe. He's putting his ear, very funnily to me, to this thing.
It's like holding up the ear flap.
Yeah, exactly. So we look at this ship, and it's clearly buried. Mm-hmm. There's all kinds of like greenery growing in the ship, and we know that it must be an old Republic era ship because they found the credits.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. Cameron, do you think that this is going to tie in with the Old Republic, and if so, how? Because there's that hologram that happens later, where she's like, "No matter what happens, don't give up." And it seems like that hologram must be from the Old Republic. So I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't feel like they would introduce Old Republic stuff heavily in canon in this show. I think it will just kind of remain as something referenced, just a kind of whispers of the past, maybe. I mean, maybe they go real heavy on the. No, I don't think so. I think the focus is going to be on these kids and wondering what the heck. It looks like they find some treasure in the trailer. I think it's more so going to be like, oh, we're now on a treasure hunt that was started because of this Old Republic era ship, and here's a person from the Old Republic, and here's some Old Republic credits, and that kind of be it.
Dude, I mean, on one hand, I agree with you in the sense of it's definitely going to be focused on the kids. It's not like they're going to like pivot off into this Old Republic thing. I don't think they're going to have flashback episodes.
Nah, yeah.
Like we had in the Acolyte. But I do feel like there's going to be I think it almost feels a little, which I like, is one of my favorite parts of Acolyte. Feels like there might be a little bit of a mystery there, and maybe they'll explore that a little bit. And I'm not saying that it's going to be, Revan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not suggesting that. But if it's Old Republic credits, it seems like the ship is got like a chart, like the ship is what's sort of showing where they're going. So it seems like wherever they end up, wherever all this treasure is that we saw, it seems like it would date all the way back to the Old Republic. And so, if so, I imagine that there's going to be there's got to be some amount of allusion to it. Again, I don't think we're getting a flashback. I don't know that we're going to get a Revan name drop. I'm not suggesting any of that, but it does feel like they're going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know. By the way that scene played out, when they give the, I'll say bartender, but just the guy working at the bar, this guy who's giving him some food, and they say something about Old Republic credits. That's when it seems like Jude Law catches
overhears.
Yeah. And he likes to get involved at that point. It doesn't seem like he is a well-meaning character. Not that he doesn't get to that, but my speculation very early on, let's just go ahead and get it out there.
Difficult to see. Always emotion is the future. Meditate on this. I will.
My speculation early on is that he's not going to be this noble character, that he begins the journey with these kids a bit like a anti-hero, or like he's using them. He's using them, and that through the story he does grow to care for them, and eventually has a turn.
Yeah,
not unlike the way Mando started very grizzled, and then over time softened to Grogu. But I think it'll just look different. Am I off with that? You think that's just the way the scene played out in this trailer?
I think that's accurate. I think we had also speculated about him being involved with some bounty hunting or some piracy.
Yeah,
I didn't really get that. I think I see him more of maybe an opportunist.
Yeah,
something about the Old Republic he might be a treasure hunter himself. He might be somebody who is like an Afra type character who's just all the time kind of looking for the next adventure or the next payday. So that might have piqued his interest. And then he sees these like kids that don't know where they are, what they're doing. And then it gives him an in to kind of investigate why they've got Old Republic credits.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find them with this hologram. So yeah, I'm in alignment with you on the whole. Not the most well-meaning at the beginning, but then grows fond of the kids.
Whether he is a treasure hunter or a pirate or a bounty hunter or any of that, he's certainly a ne'er-do-well. Like that feels like what it is.
Yeah.
The first trailer seemed to paint him like he was a Jedi. Mm-hmm. Whether he can actually use the Force or not, I don't know. But he's definitely not. To me, he's not a Jedi in the sense of like he's been training with Luke Skywalker or something. He's not that. Whether he was at one point, he was a kid, he went through Order 66. I don't know. Yeah. Possible. But I'm definitely picking up on the vibe of he's definitely some sort of I don't know. He's not exactly up to good, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's completely up to no good, but, All right, so I'm freezing this shot at 58 seconds. The kids throw something up. Flames happen. Mm-hmm. And it seems to me, we know he's in the show, this looks like Vane to me from Season 3 of Mando, one of the pirates that was in Gorian Shand. Yeah, I think, no, Gorian Shard. Yeah.
I feel like it was Shard.
Vane is this
one of the Weequay guys.
Yeah, he's something like that. One of those weird aliens. Cameron, you would know. But that looks like him. Mm-hmm. And it looks like they're running from Vane. Vane, I think, was a part of that crew that was hanging out with Stephen Urkel. I don't know what else to call him. It's Urkel, man.
Yeah.
And we know that there was a shot in the other trailer that the kids are in the jail, and that's when, Jude does his force thing. So I don't know. I imagine they're all going to get captured and beat together, but who knows? There's a line where Jude Law says, "We'll make a partnership." So I'm guessing that
He needs something from them.
yes.
Yeah.
And I think that what it might be is he might need a ship.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's like you said, it really does seem like he is looking for a score or something. I don't know. But I like the look of him. Like this shot here where they're standing in front of the ship and Jude's got almost like a... It looks very Lando to me.
Yeah. Like a real valiant kind of proud.
Yeah. I like it. I really like the idea of them being on the run from the bounty hunters or the pirates or whatever they are. I like that idea. Just narratively, plot wise, it seems fun that, we're going to end an episode and then you go to the next episode the next week and, the kids walk and then the camera pans and there's the pirates and they're, they're waiting for it. That just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun to me.
I agree.
So I'm genuinely excited. First episode and second episode both come out December 3rd, which is now less than a month away, which is wild.
Yeah.
Can you believe we're less than a month away from new Star Wars?
No.
What's something that you would really like to see out of this show?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would like to see a really solid villain in this show.
You think that Vane and the pirates could be that?
Maybe. Would it line up for it to be the Shard guy?
He's dead.
He's dead at this point. Yeah, that's right.
You'll
Okay,
be
good.
dead.
Good, because he was kind of a comedic bad guy anyway.
He was a little bit extra, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't know that we're gonna get really good villains in this show.
Nah. Yeah.
I hate to ruin your.
I would
thing.
I would like to see a really good Old Republic tie-in.
I think now that I like I said earlier, I do think we might get that. And when I see that we're not going to get good villains, I don't mean that they're not. I'm just when you say good villain, I'm like
Somebody
Markion
scary.
Rowe, Thrawn.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that kind of show.
Nah.
One thing I would really love to see in this show. Give me Hondo, baby.
Oh, I know.
Give me Hondo. I'm waiting. I've been very patient.
He's out there, and his energy would go so well with a band of kids.
Dude.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? I could even see it getting to a point where the pirates have the kids. Hondo shows up. The pirates are like, yo, it's Hondo. I feel like at this point, Hondo's been around the block. I feel like he would be the guy that people kind of know, there's respect to Hondo. And I could see Hondo potentially helping the kids out and flipping the script. I don't know, man. I mean, maybe it's a lot to ask for Hondo, but I that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want Hondo.
I could see that happening.
Give me Hondo.
Yeah.
What? Let's go. All right, let's take it to the dark side. What do you not want from this show? I'll tell you what I don't want. I don't want for it to get too dark. I feel like, I like that a lot. One of my favorite things of the last year is watching Chimere just chop down Jedi. It was so fun. I don't want that. I don't want to see anybody. I really wanted to. I guess why I say what I don't want, and I'll just flip it to the positive now. I just want it to feel good. I think it's going to feel good and be fun.
Surprisingly, I was gonna say the exact same thing
I just don't want it to get too
because
dark.
I also love the dark stuff in Star Wars, and
I mean, we talk about Andor all the time. We love
Yeah.
it. I mean, yeah, we love the dark
Andor,
side.
Acolyte, Black, White, and Red comics.
Yeah.
Dark droids, like all the real gory or more horrific parts of Star Wars, I want more of. But
Yeah.
this is not the place for it.
I agree. It feels it feels like it's not gonna be. I don't get the sense we're gonna have to worry about that. This droid, Cameron, I'll show it to you. It almost looks like a K2SO type
Yeah, that's what I thought too. when I
thing.
saw it.
I'll kind of point it over to YouTube. Y'all can't see that. I'm sorry. Go watch the trailer. He looks cool. Mm-hmm. I really get the sense that he's going to be interesting. Now, you know, it seems obvious that he's thousands of years old. That could be fun.
Yep.
Just because if
Some
it's an
name
old
drops.
Republic ship and he's been in there forever, I mean, yeah.
Yep. Kind of like Hu Yang talking about
Yeah.
hundreds of years ago and the things that he did. Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like with that being the case that this could be another one of those really interesting droids that we meet. Like,
Yeah, I would like that.
and you know, I would say that about Disney. Say what you want, but I feel like Disney's given us a lot of great droids. Let's go down the list real fast. First, Chopper.
Yep.
Chopper was great. Then we got BB-8. Come on, BB-8's amazing. The next droid they gave us was K2SO.
Yeah, my favorite from this era for sure.
I could see you maybe not liking L3, but I kind of liked her. I thought she was fun.
Dude, I love
I thought she's fun.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you know, she's got the whole, like, you know, anarchy or whatever it was, you know, but I liked her.
I liked it.
Even, I would say that one of the best parts of episode 9 was Dio, you know, and then, I don't know, did we get really, we kind of see R5 a little bit more in the Mandoverse. There's less droids there. Oh, we can't forget B2 Emo from Andor. I mean, they've been giving us some great droids.
Yeah, and what's the droid from
There's more?
the Survivor, Jedi Survivor?
Oh, BD1.
BD1, yeah.
Absolutely. Even Lola from Obi-Wan. I like Lola. There's so many good droids, man. So, you know, I'm down for some more droids. This one looks like he's going to be interesting. He's got the, you know, the patch. It's definitely giving the Goonies vibes for sure.
Yeah.
This monster, about a minute and a half in, looks pretty cool. I like that. The locations all look honestly pretty awesome. Like, there's this shot here at a minute 37 that's got like this
Palace.
It's like a palace or something. It looks really interesting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Canto Bight. It looks good. I mean, I know they shot all this in the volume, and you know, whatever. There's some great looking explosions and action pieces. This shot here, where there's like this landscape. It's a minute 44, where there's mountains and snow everywhere, and they're climbing up. I mean, that looks great.
Yeah.
This hologram again must date back to the Old Republic. That looks cool. There's a lot of good stuff here. This throne room, or not throne room, but this treasure room, I guess. I don't know, man. I don't know what that is.
Like what the face is.
Yeah, what's that? What's that big skull like?
Yeah, I don't know.
It looks cool, man. It's giving me Indiana Jones vibes. It's giving me, you know, these, like I said, Goonies, all this stuff. Reminds me a little bit of like Uncharted. Like I like it, man. I'm definitely into it. I gotta say, like, I don't know what the online buzz has been. I've not really been on. Not been a great week to be online, I don't think. It's just me. I don't know. It could be just me, but like, you know, I spend a little bit more time outside, a little bit less time online, and I don't know what Phantom's feeling, but I got to tell you, to me, it's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Even like with the Acolyte, when the Acolyte trailer dropped, you know, I remember buddy of the pod, Jim Stevens, came on and we chatted, and he was like, I don't really know. I don't see anything on here that feels off.
It feels so much different. It feels like it's in such a lane of its own that you can't really hate on it for encroaching on something that you love about Star Wars.
Yeah, it feels very fresh.
Yeah.
I would say in that way, it almost feels like the freshest Star Wars probably since maybe since Solo. Like, because we talk about Solo all the time as being like a very cool, fun.
It's just such a different. It's such a different tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Favreau and Filoni are involved in this show in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You can say, oh, well, executive producers don't have that much. I don't know, man. I get the sense that, this is one of the first projects that I could be wrong, because it does feel like it had a pretty long delay. But this feels like one of the first projects where Filoni would have had time to really do that chief creative officer type stuff. It feels to me like, I mean, I don't know for sure, but could be. And John Watts, the MCU has had his ups and downs like Lucasfilm Star Wars has, Disney era Star Wars has. But to me, those last few Spider-Man movies are pretty fun, man.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed them all. I'm not saying they're reinventing the wheel, but I don't need this show to reinvent the wheel.
Nope. Just give me something just palatable.
Enjoyable. I think it's gonna be a little more than palatable. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, well, all I'm saying is like, don't challenge me. Don't challenge.
Cameron is not in the mood.
Don't challenge my Star Wars. Don't put me in a place where I don't try to force a challenging aspect of Star Wars on me that creates this like tension in me as a Star Wars fan where I have to either like enjoy it or hate it and think about how it's going to divide the fandom. Just shoot it straight down the middle. Give me something like Solo that is just it's just an enjoyable piece of content to just consume.
I think that's what we're going to get. Yeah. I really do. And that about wraps it for this episode. I will say, I feel like if you're listening to the podcast, then this doesn't affect you. If you're watching it, well, you already know. I will say I'm literally leaving town right now. I'm going to post this. The video version will be on YouTube on Saturday. For anybody that maybe is listening, is like, where's the YouTube? It's coming. It'll be here Saturday. Maybe I should say that at the beginning, but it is what it is. Cameron, you got anything else?
No, man.
Let's land this ship. We'll be back next week for our 66th episode.
That's right.
I'll give you one guess what we're going to talk about. One guess. So maybe that can like whet your appetite a little bit.
Order 67.
Now I got to look into that. Are there other orders? That's going to have to be part of the episode. I don't think there were, but maybe there were. Let's find out. There's definitely the final order. Isn't that something that wasn't that?
First order, final order.
The first order, the final order. I feel like that was in episode 9. I'm going to have to rewatch episode 9. I'm going to have to rewatch episode 9 for something I know. All right. Well, anyways, we'll be back next week. We can't wait. It's going to be a good time. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Thanks for being with us. Until next time, Tyler out.
Cameron out.
This party's over.